Thank you everybody for coming today. We're going to talk about change, which has turned out to be one of my most passionate subjects. I realized when I was putting this presentation together that I could talk about this for hours and hours. I'm a person that seeks out change. I'm constantly looking for change to do the next job, to do the next activity. Even right now, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do when I finish this degree, and my friend Aaron there at the end of the table has told me it's not crazy of me to keep going to school after this, but we're going to see if he's right or not, take a break. Not everybody likes change. Some people really hate it. They react really poorly to it. Even my life lately has had so much change in it that I'm feeling overwhelmed. My company's gone through 4 reorganizations since July. It's going to continue to keep going. They've already told us not to get comfortable that things are going to keep changing, and so that's been hard. And I've gone through some pretty major life changes in the last few years, as some of you know, because I was, married to somebody else before and had one life, and now Tom and I are together. So I love change, but when I get embroiled in change, I find myself getting stressed and short-tempered and crazy. And so when I was putting this together, I tackled myself first, and I thought of the tools that I use to try to get through changes in my life, and was hoping maybe that would help some of you guys as well. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So what I want you to do for a minute, we're going to watch a video in a second. It's just a minute long. Just cross your arms like this, whichever direction makes you happy. Just sit there like that while we watch the. So change is inevitable, right? I mean, here we are in 2018, and I'm not even sure how we got to 2018, but we're here. We have these cell phones in our pockets that do everything when, in the 70s when I was growing up, that wasn't even a thought in people's minds yet. Change is really stressful sometimes. But change can also be managed by your attitude and how you handle it.
It's like when you work for your meal, when you really work for it, it just tastes that much better,
So, what are you going to do now?
Never really thought about it. Been chasing the bird for 20 years and not really trained for anything else. I guess I kind of let my life get away from me.
Well, I'm sure something will turn up.
Okay, that's a pastrami on rye, pasta salad, 2 Diet Cokes.
No, it was 1 Coke and 1 Diet Coke.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You've been waiting an hour.
I know, I'm sorry.
What kind of place is
I'm
this?
sorry, all right? I'm just having some identity issues right now. I can't think straight. Just get off my back, because you know what it's like.
Wiley, you're fired.
I found that when I was putting that together. Tom, I just lost my. I'm not an Apple person. Here, you can help me. I love that video because he's just had a really great change in his life, right? He caught the Roadrunner. He spent his whole life doing that, and doesn't know what to do, and he can't handle this change in his life, even though it was positive for him. So you had your arms crossed, now cross them the other way. Does that feel weird to cross them the other way when you crossed? Yeah, I can see a couple of you. So even something as simple as crossing your arms can be stressful because it's a change and it's not comfortable. Change is not really comfortable. So on your page 6 of your manual are a couple things just to think about. You can maybe answer these in your head or answer them later. We're going to keep going here, but the coyote has just caught the roadrunner. He's achieved the goal he's been searching for his whole life. Do you think he's handling it very well? Not really? No. If you had a giant change in your life, like say you just won the lottery, that would be great, right? But there's all these shows out there, these lottery winners that win and then their lives are ruined. So think about that. Think about how your life would change if you won the lottery and you could do anything you wanted, or you just got a big goal. Would it all be positive, or would it be hard for you to make that change? I think about winning the lottery and I think it would be really great. And then I realize that it sort of stresses me out thinking about getting more money than all my friends and family. And I'm pretty sure that's why I haven't won it yet. So on page 8, there's something called the Holmes Raw Life Stress Inventory. I put clips on these so you can take them apart like a couple of you have done. Because on page 7, it says take a minute and score yourself and what you see going on in your life that might be stressful. I know some of us at this table could pick major business readjustment and add about 39 points to our score, or 22, I guess, for 29 points, major change in responsibilities at work. Now, when you're looking at the Holmes Raw Life Stress Inventory scale, not all of those things on this list are bad, right? Changes in residence. Maybe you bought this great new house. Maybe you added an exchange student to your life, which is a change of family members. Number 25, outstanding personal achievement. You're going to school. I know Heather's in school like I am, and it's really exciting, but oh my gosh, it's a lot of work and stressful. Vacation actually makes this, because it's hard to go on vacation. Some of us have to work for 2 weeks to go on vacation, and 2 weeks when we get back to get caught up. Dee Dee has to write lesson plans for somebody else to take over her classroom. So think about what stresses do you have in your life right now that might be impacting your ability to handle other stresses. I said, I had good changes in my life with Tom moving in with me, but it made me pretty snappy and nasty at first to have a new person in my house and new routines and things. Are there situations in your life right now that you can resolve or let go of to lessen your stress? When I decided to go back to school, I decided I could not host exchange students anymore because I could not balance having a new person in my home every 12 months with trying to get my schoolwork done. It just wasn't going to work out. Sometimes there's little things you can give up. So, did anybody take a minute to get their score, or you just looking? Okay. You don't want to know? Okay, so I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 11 of you. Oh, Amy's here. 12. I'm gonna have you guys spend just like 5-10 minutes with a partner on this one. Hi, Amy. And take a minute first to answer the questions on page 9. Think about a challenge you faced in your life, and that could include something you're currently dealing with or facing that you don't know how to fix. And then think about what steps you took to face it or overcome it. If you haven't done so yet, think about what you could do to make it better, get out of it, or change it. And then when you're done answering those questions, we're going to get a partner and just have you guys talk about it with each other for a minute. If anybody wants to share their experience with the group, you can, but it won't be necessary. can do it in your head this time too. Just kind of the prompts. What we're doing with this page, it's page 9, Amy, is you're looking at a way to see that you kind of already have the tools inside you to fix things when they're not going so well. You know what your situation is. When you're done, maybe lay your pens down and, you know, and it's okay to talk in this, just so you know. So you're so go ahead and got a couple more people still writing. Go ahead and just take a few minutes to talk to a partner about what's going on in your situation and what you did to resolve it. I know one thing that I like to think of in this is when somebody tells you about something bad that happened in their life or that's happening in their life or a challenge they have, you always want to give advice. That's what we do as humans. One thing that I learned in my mediation training that was really huge for me is I had to take away that when you're talking to somebody else about their situation, don't use the words "at least" in the situation. Well, at least this didn't happen to you, because those words don't have any empathy in them, and they kind of feel awful to hear them, because you just want the other person to go, "Wow, I'm sorry, that sounds awful," or "Oh, wow, good for you that you fixed that." But at least is hard. So you want to get a partner. We'll just take 2 minutes.
You want to be my partner?
Yeah, you're an even number. You want to sit with Amy? Yeah, and then these guys.
Something that has to like accumulate. I'm not getting any worse, which is good. They're just slowly getting better at all the responsibilities in my life.
You probably can teach it.
I'm learning that Saint. I don't know this
Does anybody want to share anything from their personal story about something they overcame? I have kind of a silly one to tell you. I'm terrified of snakes and spiders. I come by it naturally. My grandmother is originally from South Dakota, and there's no good snakes in South Dakota. She had a little dance she used to do in the kitchen that she called the South Dakota Rattlesnake Stomp, that she entertained me and my cousins with. And so I'm terrified of snakes because our grandma taught us well. And I had some friends that do these photo shoots, and they were doing a whole shoot with snakes. And there were little snakes and big snakes, and I mean, you're like draping them around your shoulders kind of photo shoot. So I signed up for it, and I thought, well, this is either going to go well or I'm going to run screaming out of the room, or it was kind of somewhere in between. This guy he's a snake keeper expert guy, and he brought huge tubs of snakes from a yellow and white albino python that was about this big around in the middle of it to just little ball pythons. And the worst thing that happened to me is I kept forgetting that the snakes were in the tubs, and I'd lean against them, and then I'd realize, and I'd scream and shoot across the room. I did manage to get through the photos holding my little wild python snake that they gave me. I think he gave me the smallest one he had. It had a cataract in one eye, so it was kind of a shy, quiet snake that I was afraid it would get startled and bite me. I didn't realize till after he handed me this python that pythons have teeth and they'll bite you, they're just not venomous. And so that made me more afraid. I spent about 4 hours with this snake, and we got to be kind of friends. And I had a little bit of a respect for him afterwards, but I am not a snake lover or a snake owner, and I never will be. So for me, I took the steps to try to overcome my snake fear, and it was not a quick fix for me. And can be lifelong ingrained. But I feel better about myself now because I had this giant fear and I went and faced it. And so, I learned, I guess another fear I have is skydiving because I'm afraid of heights, but I'm not going to try to get over that one. So, and I know some of you have some bigger things that you faced in your life or are facing, you know, or you're in the middle of you're still into, yeah. So, does anybody want to share anything? You want to? Go ahead.
Yeah. My challenge is like growing up, and that's like, you know, kind of big for me right now. Because I just turned 19, got out of high school, and there's like so many things that I have to do that I didn't have to do before, and it's just like, you know, like taking on the responsibility that I have to take now. When I'm like, you know, I don't need the job. I can push it off until I'm like, you know, I graduated, and you know, dealing with all the other things in my life and stuff like that. I guess something that like I've kind of understood about like the whole idea of growing up and stuff like that is like it's different for everybody. Like, you know, there's a lot of roads that you can choose and whatnot, and there's like a lot of things you can do to fix it, and it's like, you know, it's an important part of life, but you know, it just doesn't happen overnight. And like, how do I feel about it, like myself afterwards and stuff like that? Even though I'm still going through it, I feel better because like now that I'm in kind of like life more and stuff like that, it's like I've gaining experience on dealing with life better and like, you know, growing up more, I guess. I think like something that I've really learned from it is that, you know, life is hard, like, especially, you know, coming out of high school and like, growing up the way that I did and stuff like that. But I mean, like, it's life. And it's a struggle, and it's one that, you know, you're gonna have to overcome and stuff like that. And I guess another thought that I have over like on it, like I said before, is like, you know, it doesn't happen overnight. So it's something that, you know, you have to grow with. You know, because we're never, you know, like we're never done growing and stuff like that. But it's just like right now I have to change a lot more. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. I know it's one of the books that I read in a prior class talked about how challenges in life, you get through one and then it seems like you graduate to the next one. It's just a little bit bigger one. It's like an Indiana Jones movie where it just keeps so just because you solve one doesn't mean you're ever going to be conflict free or problem free. So did anybody else want to share anything?
I'll share ours. We wrote the same thing.
Okay. Oh, you've got a big one.
Kind of building on that, just being an adult. So for the past about year and a half, we've been working very hard on getting out of debt. Just we found ourselves as all of a sudden adults and in debt and having to, you know, pay off student loans and car loans and all kinds of stuff. And so we've been, that was just kind of, we both put that as our big challenge. It's a really big, overwhelming thing to think about having to pay off debts that have just piled up on top of you when you just are trying to live the life that society expects you to live. So our plans or our steps were just making a plan and staying consistent. And you know, we live on a budget and we live below our means, and we've been super successful in paying off a large amount of debt in just a year and a half. It's taken lots of time. We're not done yet, but we will be soon. It's made us feel proud and powerful and in control of ourselves. And before starting this, we felt kind of out of control and not really knowing what we were working towards in life. And now we know what we're working towards in life. Aaron's other thoughts I thought were
share other thoughts?
Sure.
So my other thoughts on the subject were making positive changes in my life affected more than just like our financial picture. It affected the way I carry myself at work, the way I interact with people, confidence that I have, affected my relationship and our communication. And so just those small changes that we made affect so much more.
You guys have an Instagram page about it. I know, every time, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It's getting out of debt, no. It's
The
baby
Instagram-
steps to freedom.
Yeah, we follow the Dave Ramsey plan, so it's baby step to freedom. You can add me if you want. Yeah, we're almost there.
Did anybody else?
Well, I've had several in life, but it's an understatement. But the one that's probably the most recent one for us and has affected us as a whole family. 6.5 years ago, we were in a head-on collision where I was in the car and had to be cut out of the car. It was a fatal collision. The other driver was killed, and 17-year-old girl. But for me, I wound up in the hospital in 23 nights. And I lost mobility. My legs were crushed, broke both legs, broke my hip, wound up with $35,000 titanium from waist down. So losing my mobility was huge. I had to learn how to walk again and everything. So that affected our whole family. I was unable to care for my kids. My parents had to help out. How did I overcome it? Obviously a ton of physical therapy. But as I was telling you, it wasn't just physical. There was a lot of mental therapy that had to go with it. I didn't seek out counselors, but just a lot of talking with my friends and just sharing my feelings. Just really talking about it and having people open to cry with me and to sit and do it. Another thing that made a big difference for me was I ended up working on changing a law that affected me through the whole thing, and I was able to reach out and help other people through that would be going through the same thing that I went through. So the whole thing just made me realize that I had to take baby steps to get there, but I was able to overcome. And I still have these challenges, but I know that I can keep working on it and keep overcoming along the way. So
That is a big thing, and I know if it's okay that I share it. Dee Dee is a single parent, so because she lost her husband when Sadie was 4, so she was trying to do all this on her own. But that law that just got signed 2 years ago, 2016, was it? For those of us insurance people in the room, the anti-stacking law for car insurance limits in Oregon made it so that this 17-year-old girl that struck her didn't have adequate insurance to cover the accident she was in, but because of that anti-stacking law, she was not allowed to use her own insurance to cover it and had huge debts. So she had quite a journey, but she made that better for a lot of people. So that's thank you for doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, I hope none of us ever need that. But so the number one thing that I'm hearing and that I knew and probably you know is that when you have a big challenge in your life, it's really nice to think you could flip a switch and make it better. You know, back to my dream about winning the lottery and everything's going to be better. But that's just going to give me new problems. And the making changes and making things better, it takes time. So anytime you're facing a really big challenge, know you can fix it, but know that you're going to have maybe some time to get through. On page 10 is kind of a tool that I've used to write down kind of my feelings about a situation and the choices around it. I had a friend years ago, I worked in a job where I was laid off. They laid off 10% of the workforce in a day. It was a new owner that had taken over the company. And 10 months later, I was offered the choice to come back. But now, instead of working in the role that I had for the person I had been working for, I was going to be working for a peer. She wasn't my favorite, easiest person in the company, but the pay was going to be good. And I had to think about what I was going to do. And so my friend and I went out for happy hour, and he made this list on a piece of paper, pros and cons. It was pretty simple, like what's going to be the good thing to do. And so I really like that accept, change, and leave adage. I told you our company is going through all these massive reorganizations and changes. And so I've had to think to myself, what am I going to do about this? Can I handle these changes that are going on? Can I do anything about the situation that I'm in? Can I affect it or make it different? Can I get the job back that I want to do? Can I leave? Would it be beneficial to me to leave right now? Is now a good time for me to leave? Is it better to hang out and see what's going to happen? And so you can use this to kind of break down your feelings about, like to use Amy as an example with your school situation. She's going through some tough times at school with her 6-year-old son. So what is it about the situation that's bothering her? Well, I'm sure it's that nobody is caring about what's happening with your son, right?
Yes.
It's the emotion, the lack of emotion they're showing, or lack of caring. So can you live with it? No. What's your best case scenario? Would it get better at the school if you hung out? I don't know. So she's had to leave the situation with the school because she wasn't able to change it. She definitely wasn't able to accept it. Maybe you can come back to those things later, but you're not going to be getting to do it right this minute. On page 11, I call it making your fears work for you. What's my greatest issue or fear in this situation? When I was holding that snake, back to my stupid snake story, my greatest fear was that that snake was going to bite me and I was going to have a heart attack and die right there. But the situation wasn't life-threatening to me. If you're in a situation that's harmful or life-threatening to you, that's when you need to get out. There's not really, you can't go through that whole accept, change, and leave thing if the situation's life-threatening. It's just a get out. Is there a possibility for a good outcome here as well as a bad outcome? What you can even percentage what you think the possibilities are. Do I have the option to leave? Can I leave my job now? Is there somewhere for me to go? Can I pay my bills? What am I going to do? Can I pull my kid out of school? How's that going to change my life? If I just stay in the situation that I don't really like right now, and I don't do anything except resist the changes that are coming around me, what's the worst case scenario? What's going to happen to me? Well, think about if you're in a classroom, school, or in a workplace, and you have that coworker that just sits there and is mad all day and doesn't do what they're supposed to do. That's not really your favorite person in the office, right? Or your favorite person in the classroom. Did you guys in school have some kid in the classroom that just showed up every day but refused to do anything? Right? I mean, park rows, I know. So if it was one of you, I don't want to hear about it. But that's, if you stay and you embrace the change, what's the best case scenario? What could happen for you? If you stay and you go, okay, I can't make this better, and I can't really leave it right now, or I don't really want to leave it right now, what's it going to look like? Can I hang out here? So on page 12, how do you react to change in your life? And this is one I want you to take time to look at. When you are afraid of something, what do you do? If you're afraid of a conflict with someone, do you avoid them? Do you hide from them? Do you pretend they don't exist? Do you face it head on like I did with the snakes? I mean, that took me so many years, you don't even know. When you're angry, what do? Do you lash out at people? Some people go hide again. How do you handle that? When you're ambivalent, when you just don't care, fine, do whatever you want. I don't care. You know, Tom and I have had some discussions where maybe I've come off like that. Or if you're enthusiastic about something, how do you react? Do you show it, or do you just sit quietly and hope somebody notices that you're really excited? So the reason why I'm asking these questions is because if you're a person that is afraid and runs and hides every time you have a conflict with a coworker, like, you know, you're not getting along with Sarah in accounting and you see her head into the bathroom and you're going there yourself, but you're like, nope, I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee, I'll come back later. Do you think that your reactions to these changes, do they make a difference in how you're perceived by others? Do they make a difference in maybe how your job goes for you? And are they making a difference in your personal life? The example that you guys used, Allison and Aaron, about their finances, your finances were making you feel kind of afraid, right? Because you just felt buried. So if you avoided that and just kept putting stuff on credit cards, like a lot of people do you think that would have made it better? But you faced it, and it made you feel better, right? So I know for me, I'm a person that wears all my emotions on my sleeve. So if I'm sitting in church, or I'm sitting in the office, or I'm with a group of friends, it's it's easy to see what I'm thinking by looking at my face. I think that hurts me sometimes in business and even in personal relationships, because if I'm mad at you, I'm not going to be able to hide that from you. I'm also a person that will jump out of my chair because I'm enthusiastic about something, but I can also relate to being the person that's like, yeah, that's really exciting, but I'm not going to say anything because I don't want anybody to know this. So, one of the things in examining my own reactions that I realized is when I get fearful about something, I tend to lash out at the people that are closest to me. I'll get stressed out and I'll try to hide it from my friends or people that I'm not as close to, but I yell a lot at home, and that hurts my personal relationships with Tom and even with my pets sometimes. We have a really sensitive boxer dog that if I start to raise my voice, he'll go crawl in his crate and he won't come out, and it makes me feel so bad. So think about how you're impacting others, and then think about, like Allison and Aaron, how you can turn it into something more productive for you. It's really, really awesome when you do that. So, let's see. Sorry. You can tell that PowerPoints are not my friends. So people conduct emotions the same way utility lines conduct electricity. There's actually a lot of research about human beings being energy and how we transfer energy to each other. I guess if you've ever been around somebody in a bad mood and it's put you in a bad mood, raise your hand. Everybody, right? Have you ever started off in a good mood and then you encounter your friend or your daughter or your husband and you're like, "Argh. You know, I was happy till I talked to you today." You know, that happens, right? So I'm trying to think about that really hard at work now. It's not always easy. This is my favorite saying right now: a healthy attitude is contagious. Don't wait to catch it from others. Be a carrier. Be a carrier for a positive attitude. So on page 13, and you're going to find, I love Dilbert. There's Dilbert all over in this because I love how Scott Adams can relate everything back to our lives. The Dilbert is teaching them the art of being toxic to each other. It's a really great cartoon. So I was thinking about, in terms of negative actions and positive actions, what's a negative action you can think of that somebody might do? Gossip. Right? Is there something that, so you've heard this rumor about Amy in accounting, that she's getting a divorce and things are really rough in her life and she might even be hitting the bottle and you're like all talking about it, you know? Is there a way you think you could turn that into a positive action, something different you could do to handle it? Something I think of.
Reach out to Amy and just, be a friendly face.
Yeah, say, are you doing okay? I might have heard a couple things that, you're having a hard time. Right, exactly. Or if you don't know Amy at all, and, at least don't spread it, right? I heard Amy.
But you can buy that with her.
Yeah.
Buy the good stuff out of her.
Hey, Amy, here's a gift card to the liquor store. I hear you're having a really hard time. So, are there any other negative actions you can think of that people do to each other that maybe you could turn around or handle differently? Anybody?
Maybe passive aggressive. You run into those people that are very passive aggressive, and so they won't come out and be really mean, but they're super just like subtle. Those, I don't like that personally. That's really rough. Yeah. And so it doesn't even feel like it's really negative until it kind of builds and you look back on it.
I had a coworker that would do that to people. She would say things like, "Oh, you got your hair cut. It's so nice. Did they mean to cut it shorter on one side?" And it was like really passive aggressive mean behavior. Do you think you could turn that around when somebody's being that way? Do you think anyway, or do you think the stuff that's...
I try and avoid people like that usually, just because I feel like I can't
induction, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to, around those people, try to be as nice as I possibly can, like genuinely nice. I'll see them in the elevator sometimes, and he's like, hi, how's your day? You know, and I try to feed it back to them, but not with any real vicious thing in mind, although that's hard to avoid that. But I sincerely do not go seek them out, you know, want to go have lunch with them or go to their best buddies. So I just try to show them. Just remember to be a carrier. Okay, so the good news is that we can make change for the better. And all of you in this room that have gone through personal things in your life, because I know every single one of you has, you have some choices with change. And anybody can be a great leader. And the best way to do that is take your challenge and break it into smaller pieces. Right, Erin and Allison? Yeah, did you start off by saying, okay, we're going to pay off every bill we've got right now? No, right?
Baby steps.
Baby steps. I know, Daylene, you didn't get better in a day. You didn't start working in a day. So it's the whole adage of eating the elephant, you know, one bite at a time. And sometimes that's hard when you have a big, overwhelming thing that you're looking at. I know for me, just putting this together, I thought, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to do this? But we did it one step at a time. Here I am. So maintain your sense of humor, I think, is the most important thing you can do. If you can laugh at yourself, you can look back later and go, wow, I made it through that, and I don't have a running tab at the liquor store right now. Be flexible and embrace the learning opportunities that you have and the challenges that you're facing. Did each of you that had a situation that you wrote down, did you learn something from what happened to you? Or what you went through? Or are you learning things now? Take responsibility, don't blame others. Do any of you have any people in your lives that it's never their fault, no matter what's happening to them? Never. Maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your coworker, maybe it's yourself, but hopefully not. I don't think so. Lead by example. Always try to do your best in the situation. That's hard to take the high road on everything, but I try. I don't always make it, but I try. Stay positive, that's hard too. I have some really bad down days. I will tell you today, getting ready for this, every single thing that could happen, happened. We brought 2 laptops with us because we knew one was not going to work and it was right. And then we got on the freeway and it was at a standstill and I thought, why is this happening? And I thought, oh yes, because it wants me to embrace what I'm talking about. So, and then by showing flexibility, humor, and strength, other people will come to you and look to you, for example. And that's in a good position to be in. You don't want to be the guy in the office everybody's avoiding because you're like, you've got a little dark storm cloud over your head all the time. So on page 15, let's just have you guys raise your hands. I'm going to go through these words. Raise your hand if these words make you feel uncomfortable. Adjust. Artificial intelligence. Some of us are worried about our jobs right now. About assessment. Fix that. Automate. Yeah. Change. Communication. Deviate. Digital. Downsize. Everybody was comfortable with digital. Downsize is a bad word. Drastic. What if it's a drastic change for the good? Evolve. Fluctuate. Gradual. Growth. Implement. Teacher. Improve. Initiative. Movement. New direction. Plan. Process. Radical. Rearrange. rebrand, reduce, reorganize, resistance, restart, restructure, reverse, review, shifting, strategy. I actually don't like that word strategy. It means I'm going to have to work really hard at something. Successful, team, technology, transform, transition, uncertain, unpredictable. We're all upgrade. Just upgraded my phone, I feel that. Vision. Vision is a hard word for me too, because somebody's got a vision and somehow he thinks you're going to get there. And if it's at work, I'm not sure I like that. I want to wait and see what it's going to look. But these are just words, right? So some words have this really negative connotation for us and some don't. So the thing is that we're in 2018, as I mentioned before. Technology is changing daily. One of the things I think about is Amazon and Google are taking over the world now, right? Stores are changing. Look at the Amazon Whole Foods merger. Okay. Could any of you guys have predicted how much media that was going to make, where there's the Whole Foods shelves are just empty now and the employees are crying at work? Those are the articles that I'm reading because of the changes. Technology is supposed to make it better, but it doesn't. There's not an easy solution for making yourself feel better when you're going through all of this, but we do have to continue to change so we can continue to be relevant at work, at home, raising our children, and just being human. I know my 96-year-old grandmother, her #1 wish right before she died, she wanted an iPhone. She wanted to learn to use an iPhone because she wanted to text people because she felt like she could keep up with the world if she could just get that phone in her hand that everybody had. And my mother wouldn't let me teach it to her because my mother can't use her iPhone, right? So, but we have to evolve. So, think about the things that make you happy when you're totally stressed out. What kind of things do you guys do to get away and make yourselves feel better? Eli, do you have something that you do when you're stressed?
I have a problem with stress in general. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of the things that I do work pretty well in a sense, because like, stress is a good thing to have sometimes, and like, I don't stress enough, I feel. Like, especially when it involves like things that I'm supposed to do and like schoolwork and stuff like that. I mean, like, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I understand are out of my control. And so like, there are certain things that stressing over, I guess, is kind of pointless.
So you just make the decision not to stress anymore? Is that how you disconnect from it?
Oh, no, I wish I could make the decision to stress.
Do you have any activities that make you feel better? Like for me, being with the dog, you know, that makes it better.
Oh yeah, like art. And even when I like stretch myself a little bit, art is what I was going to do, like pottery, sculpting, drawing, whatever.
Heather, I know you're in school like I am. What do you do when your kids are driving you crazy and schoolwork's piling on your head and you just need to stop?
Actually meditate.
Meditate? I know that's good for a lot. Anybody else have any big stress that you would
My job, I'd say my job really helps. I feel like when I do, I work at the Better Learning Store, and I feel like just, I feel like what I'm doing there is just, I'm good at what I'm doing. I'm really praised and everything like that. So that really helps, positive people, like coworkers and everything else.
You're around positive people. Yeah, and doing something you're good at for a few minutes when you're feeling like you're facing something you know about Aaron.
I pet my cats while binge watching Netflix.
Trailer Park Boys, yeah. For a drive, yeah. That's a big thing for you, to go for a drive after what you've been through, right? Yes. I think Melissa cooks. Do you cook, or wine tasting? What do you guys do when you're...
Well, personally, if I've had like a really stressful day and I feel like I, can't handle it, I end up going to the gym and just running myself crazy and then come back and feel better. Like I have control over everything again.
That's what's missing in my life right now is that elliptical. For me, when I made the, I started school and then I took a whole year off and I started again. And I stopped for a whole year because in 14 weeks of class I gained 12 pounds. And I thought, well, this can't go on because I've got like a year and a half to go, right? So I quit. And when I decided to go back to school, I really made a list of the things that were important in my life and the things that brought me joy. And so Tom and I try to have dinner with my mom and son about once a week. We don't always make it, but it's important to me to still have friends and to still have family and connections and not just have my entire life be buried in my computer for work and school. You know, we work from home a couple days a week, so it's possible for me to be in front of a computer from 7 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night without ever getting out of my pajamas. Now that's stressful, so you have to have ways to get away from that. I wish there was just a switch we could flip and turn the stress off, but there's not. I gave you some of my favorite resources about attitude and shifting your thoughts and reality. I also have worked really hard this last year to find resources that keep my attitude up. I get an email every day from this paradigm shift, and they have some really great things to say. There were some quotes that I got from them that I put on the next page. I just recently found this soulvibe.com. It's horoscopes, but the thing I like is they send you something called a soul cookie every day, and it's a little fortune cookie, and you click on it, and you get these really great quotes. And then I found through some other weird search, there's music that's considered like healing frequencies for people, and there's a whole bunch of it on YouTube. And I started feeling better when I would play it during the day. When I was working from home, I listened to these frequencies, and we started turning it on at night before we went to sleep. There's some 8-hour like deep sleep ones. And I was out of town in January in Dallas, and Tom texted me and he says, "Where's that music we listen to at night?" So it's not just helping me, it was helping him. But whatever makes you better, getting on the elliptical, taking the dog for the walk, petting the cat, those are the things you gotta do to keep going. So then there's some quotes on the next page, and I just want you to remember, everybody has fear, doubt, and uncertainty. Have any of you been through your life so far without any fear, doubt, or uncertainty? Any hands? No? Do you know anybody that doesn't have a fear or doubt or an uncertainty? Maybe somebody that pretends that they're not. Change is uncomfortable. It's just crossing your arms. How that makes you feel. There's Dilbert again. From the Holmes Raw stress inventory we did. I love this. Do not fear change because change is good. Actually, studies show that any big changes in a person's life vastly increase the odds of sickness and death. Are you trying to kill us? And Dilbert screams, "I can't feel my arm." You know, there's days where I can't feel my arm either. To achieve anything big, like turning your whole financial world around, I love that example. It requires time and commitment. It's just not something you can do in a day. Getting your degree takes time and commitment, right? Stay focused and value your journey along the way. Sometimes I'm just trying to get through the day, but I need to try to remember that there's a journey that I'm going through here that's making me a better person. And I lost that last one. So these are some of my favorite quotes. A mind that is stretched by new experience can never go back to its old dimensions. Will you ever be the same again after some of the choices and experiences you've been through? One reason people resist change is they focus on what they have to give up instead of what they have to gain. So when we went through our first reorganization at work several months ago, I was leaving on vacation for 2 weeks in 2 days, and I had just had an argument with my son at 9 o'clock that morning about how change can happen in an instant, and he was basically calling me a bloody fool and telling me that it was all your reaction to change. And I came back from lunch and had like 5 emails from our headquarters in Boston telling me about how my job had changed, My manager was staying the same, but I was one of 2 people on an 11-person team that was keeping the same manager. Everybody else got a new one. So basically, like, everybody was scattered to the winds. They had laid off a bunch of our executives. All the managers above us changed. Our reporting structure was different. Our jobs had changed. It was like this craziness. And here I'm getting ready to leave. So I packed my desk because I thought, well, if I'm going to be fired, at least I don't want somebody else packing up my stuff. So I kind of like made a box of my stuff. But then I started listening over the next 2 days to the changes that were being made, and I realized there was something to gain in that. My job is better than it was 7 months ago, but that's still a hard thing to go through. So it's hard to see those positives sometimes. Growth is not easy. It requires stretching yourself. Every accomplishment starts with a decision to try, even if your accomplishment is, I'm facing this big horrible thing, I have to get through it somehow. If nothing ever changed, there'd be no butterflies, and the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Steve Jobs. We need more Steve Jobs out there. So that is what I have. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions or?
I'll just share, I got a teaching on my keys. We talked about being a journey when I was in the hospital and City actually gave me the teaching and it says every single journey is a journey. Whether it's a good or bad step, you have to take that step.
That's what we're here for. Anybody else? If you change your mind, you know who I am. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come and be here for me today and to go through this with me. I hope you found something in it that's a takeaway or a tool you can use or something you haven't thought of, even if it's a soul cookie. So, thank you.